everyone, welcome back to Friday Food is Medicine. My name is Dr. Rav James and we've got Kelly back here with us, who's a hand-in-hand parenting instructor. And today we are going to be chatting about snacking and the snacking industry, and Kelly's going to take us through setting limits as an opportunity for connection. So I'm going to hand over to Kelly to get started with that, and then we'll get into things. And at the end, we are doing a Nutella recipe, so keep your ears open.
So we've discussed a few times how food really can be a contentious issue with children, and it can often end in power struggles between you and your children, and that is because often mealtimes, especially dinner, and probably for a lot of parents that's the one mealtime they have with their children in a day if they're at school and busy. It's at the end of a day, and it's at the end of a day that there's possibly a lot of disconnection. You know, if we run through a day, you wake up and it's a rush to get ready for school, and it's making lunches and out the door and in the car and off to school, and you possibly off to work, and all these little disconnections and things that happen in a child's day add up, and by the end of the day, they are kind of full of all these little disconnections and hurts, and dinner and anything around dinner is the perfect opportunity to push and throw their toys out the cart. And that can be exhausting for parents, but it's important that we do set limits around eating, meals, and food. And you know, you look at it as they choose basically how much they eat, sometimes if they even eat, but it's our job to choose what they eat and when they eat. And anything other than that is kind of out of our control. They are a separate human being. But when they attach their hurts to a meal, or you know, the plate's the wrong color, or the water's too cold, or you didn't put enough of this on, and those are the moments where you go, I'm sorry, we're going to keep the red plate, or I'm not going to cut it a different way. And you let them get upset, and you hold them in that upset, and you make space for it, and you sit with them. And this is actually, after a day of disconnection, it doesn't seem like it, but a really beautiful way to connect with your child. So you set your limits. They can get upset about it. You give them space to get upset about it. They have a right to have emotional reaction, and you hold them in that, and you validate. I can see how upset you are. I'm really sorry I put it on the red plate. I can put it on the blue plate next time, but right now we're keeping the red plate. You know, something like that as a trivial example. The upset is not necessarily about the food, but it's the food that is the catalyst, because that's a reliable thing that they have every day and do every day. And this is also another lovely reason why eating together as a family, or even if the one parent's home to eat with the children, is a really great way to connect at the end of the day.
Yeah. That was very insightful, thank you. I think it's often so much easier to give in to the demands,
100%.
especially at the end of the day. Parents are tired. Just change the plate and
exactly.
Don't hold them to
or
that.
You know, cut. So I mean, I have made a whole new meal before.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you're doing that, you're just kind of delaying the hurts. It's going to come out at bedtime. You know, it's going to come out somewhere. So that is a nice way to connect.
I love that. Let them have their big emotions. It's okay, but hold them in that, and that's also fine. You're listening and validating. Thank you, Kelly. So I wanted to chat a little bit about the snacking and snacking industry, and I wanted to start off with just kind of throwing a question. Do we need to snack? Are we biologically adapted to have this abundance of food and continual kind of intake of food, especially in today's day and age, which is highly processed, sugar-laden foods? So, I mean, a lot of us know that, you know, our grandparents, definitely there was no snacking. Snacking industry didn't even exist then. And really it became a whole industry in itself. So, you know, the other way to approach it is, if you are wanting to snack, what is the better option? So if you present either like an energy bar, like a Jungle Oats energy bar, versus biltong, which is more protein and fats, you know, which is the better option for the biology, and especially for a kid, but it applies to adults as well. So your Jungle Oats energy bar typically contains a lot of sugar, and it's highly processed food, and very, very often you won't find much real food in there. We like to call it, or Michael Pollan likes to call these types of food food-like substances. They're not real food. So the problem with that is twofold with the sugar. Number one, sugar is a stimulant. And our kids are with their small bodies and still maturing brains and still trying to figure out how to deal with emotions. It's very difficult to be in this stimulated state when already they're very stimulated with the external environment. And the second problem is that very processed sugar-laden foods create an insulin spike. So the insulin goes up very quickly. What goes up must come down, and then it drops very quickly, and it drops too much. It's almost like the body overcompensates. And by doing that, that is what we witness as adults as hangry. Mm-hmm. And in kids, that's temper tantrums. So, or difficulty in controlling the emotions or understanding the emotions. So that's why it is quite important what snack choices we choose. So for example, as I use the biltong is mostly protein and fat. And so we have a stability in our sugar and not these ups and downs that an added stressor that the kids need to deal with. So with having said that, I wanted to make something fun today, especially for kids, and I wanted to make Nutella. Now I don't know if anyone has looked at the label of Nutella, but it is mostly sugar and a lot of other ingredients that you don't even really recognize. So I wanted to use good ingredients, a healthy version of Nutella, and I'm going to just talk you through it, and obviously we'll put up the recipe. So what I've got here is hazelnuts, and what I've done already to save time is I've roasted them, just dry roasted them, and then for about 10-15 minutes, taken them out the oven and tried to get as much of the skins off as possible. It just gives us a creamier Nutella. And then I've just had it in the food processor for probably about 10 to 15 minutes, and it actually creates like a hazelnut butter. So it's quite smooth. And what we're going to do is we're going to add to this about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Salt helps to bring out the flavor. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla essence. And then I'm going to start blending it and add the chocolate in slowly. So there's no sugar, no sweetener. I have put out maple syrup, so in case you want to start it with some maple syrup, use 1 to 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, sweeten it up. But yeah, I don't find that it's necessary. And over here I've got 85% dark chocolate that I've melted just with some over hot water, and that's what I'm going to slowly add. So, then what I'm going to do, chocolate goodness. Kids or the adults, they can lick the bowl, always good. And there we have it. We've got some homemade Nutella.
Oh, that looks amazing.
Put it in here so you can see. And then you'll put it in the fridge. Now I wanted to give you some nice options on how to use it. So again, very little sugar in here. But it does kind of hit the chocolate thing that kids just love, and big kids, little kids, it doesn't matter. So as a nice fun snack, I'll take the Nutella and put it on banana, and greener banana. Greener bananas have less of the sugars. It's more what we call resistant starches. So that means that we're not having that big insulin spike. We've just got nice stability. We've got a lot of fat in here from the chocolate and from the nuts, and no added sugar. So that's a very cool snack. And here I've got chia seeds that I soaked in some almond nut milk. High in fat, high in fiber. Fiber really important to slow down that absorption of sugar. So also a great meal. Kids, might not really like to eat this, or you might find that the texture that they're quite picky with. So I find that either I will blend this in the food processor, or if your kids are not fussy, this with a bit of Nutella on top, or mix it in with all that chocolate and maybe even a nut butter. I'm sure they'll eat that. Maybe berries on top. Happy days. Hope you enjoy it. Give it a try with the recipe. Let us know how your kids like it, how you like it, big, small kids. Thank you very much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.